Welcome to It Takes Two. I'm Blair.
I'm Chris.
And today we'll be talking about Couples Therapy, Season 4, Episode 8.
Hey, I need y'all to subscribe, like, share, comment, go through the playlist, and watch all the episodes that we reviewed on this show. You ready, Blair?
I'm ready.
Let's go.
We start with Rex and Joey. Mm-hmm. So we found out that Rex likes dangerous sex.
Dangerous man.
So I think kind of pushing the limits, kind of a public type of sex is what he means. Mm-hmm. The first year in their relationship, they wouldn't even do it in the bedroom. It would be in cars because it was passionate. There was a chance of being caught. Orna says, well, maybe you two should be a little more adventurous.
Please don't encourage that, Orna, please.
They had a break for their 1-year wedding anniversary, and she's asking them how their break was. They hiked the Smoky Mountains. And it looks like, they're sitting super close to each other, even though Joey asked Rex just for a little bit of space. So what happened is they encountered a bear, and they backed away slowly, but Rex really took control of the situation, and Joey found that to be really attractive. He said that they finally had sex. Normally, she wouldn't go along with it in a public setting, but she actually initiated.
Wow.
Joey said that they were having a wonderful time. It was in the spa, and they were in some type of soaking tub when they got it going on. When the bear situation happened, she felt protected in that she could rely on him. And at home, she runs a lot of things, and she doesn't get to see that side of him normally. When they came home, they did it again. Rex says that it could have been just the natural high of the week. He's still a little bit worried about things going back to how they were because there's no bear that's going to be chasing us Monday through Friday.
I hope not.
Joey says, well, it's not only the bear. Like, he also cooked for her, and it was doing something nice for her.
Yeah.
Orna says, well, it sounds like Rex is taking more initiative, and Joey, you're creating more room for him to take initiative. Rex says that they also start praying for each other at night. And Joey is saying that this is the first time in the day when they pray, or when they pray is the first time in the day she can actually hear his heart about what he's thinking and what he hopes for. Yeah. And Rex tells her that he loves her. Yeah. So they're on a high right now.
Yeah. And that's my fear.
Okay.
All right. My fear is that it's just a high. I do like the fact, even though, Rex, you are kind of dangerous, man. You say you got a bucket list of things you want to do when it comes to sex. But one thing I would say is, Joey, potentially this guy hasn't changed. Like, he always been this way, but you kept suppressing him in all aspects. I just hope that you get to hear him in his way when he talks to you, not so much in your way when y'all praying. It's easy for y'all. It's easy for me to be like, hey, Blair, let's pray if you're into praying. Yeah. Right. But when I'm talking to you regular and I'm like, I want to paint the garage purple and orange. I hope you give me the same grace and you hear my heart.
And hear his wants.
Exactly.
The same way.
The same way when it's not something that is basically your playing field when it comes to prayer and religion and things of that nature. What did you think overall about them?
No, I agree with what you said. I also feel that Joey, I feel like on vacations, you just get to relax and put your hair down. Yeah. And you kind of let your guards down. And I think that is what Joey experienced, is that she was no longer kind of in her A-type mentality of, I have to control every situation. Yeah. And because she relaxed a little bit, Rex was able to show up the way that he wanted to. And she didn't have any type of critiques for him or putting him down because she was kind of out of that mindset. Yeah. So I do think they were on like a vacation high. Yeah. But I think that if she can continue that mindset of, I can relax sometimes and things will be okay, then I think that is going to be the shift that will help them. But I don't think she even realizes that that's the shift that happened, that she released a little bit of the reins. Yeah. And it doesn't happen in this episode. Right.
It doesn't hit her because, like you said, there is a such thing as a vacation high. Yeah. You do things on vacation that you just don't do in your everyday life. You get what I'm saying? So
we've got Josh, Lorena, and Aaron. Yeah. Lorena says that Josh and her, have other partners. She's wondering if she wants to have an anchor partner for herself, though. Lorena, and this is what Orna is talking about to one of her colleagues, and she's saying that Lorena's been crushed by her mother's demise and being her caregiver. As we know, her mom passed away of cancer. She gave up on any idea of a future. Lorena chose to be secondary in 2 different relationships. Orna couldn't tell if she was suffering from not being the primary partner, or maybe it was convenient for her and it was a choice that she wanted to make. Lorena says that her other partner invited Josh to a party and asked who should invite him. And then that caused Lorena to freak out internally. She was just not sure, like, should you tell him? Am I going to tell him? Like, some of Lorena's, like, anxieties are just a little bit confusing to me.
Off-putting for me.
Okay. Josh says that we're basically... We're at the day of the event happening, and nobody told me anything about this event. So no action has been taken. He's trying to understand what that block is for her. Lorena says that she feels that she has hit rock bottom recently. She had a perspective shift. She was in a dark place. She's been in a cycle of being overwhelmed. She hasn't made plans in either one of her relationships, and she detaches at times just from being the main character in her life. So she's even secondary in her own life. Like, that's wild.
Saying. I mean, that's really what Polly did for her.
And Orna asked Aaron, what does she think about what was said? And Aaron is focusing on the fact that Josh was being understanding of Lorena and actually curious to know what her block was versus getting upset about her not taking action and actually, like, taking initiative in something. So Aaron is like, I'm really happy that Josh is changing his mindset to be more reflective. Apparently Josh and Aaron, they had another relationship with a young lady who was a partner to Josh and Aaron. But Josh and that lady ended up having a breakup, and they couldn't see eye to eye and had, like, a really tumultuous situation. So Aaron's like, so maybe, they could be around each other again if he's being more reflective. And Orna's like, okay, I'm asking you about, like, what Lorena said. And she just says, like, oh, I just had to refocus because, it was just, I was thinking about a lot, And I was just like, okay, she didn't really answer the question.
Yeah, Aaron don't like Lorena, right? I'm just going get it out.
It was like Lorena talks and Aaron is just in a different world.
You know what? I was just thinking about that ex we had, Josh, right? And I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, the more and more they talk, the more and more I say all three of y'all should just break up.
I'm just thinking, like, maybe Aaron's thinking, like, Lorena is Josh's problem. So she's just like, I can kind of check out.
And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's not a poly relation. Like, this is just, that means he has two relationships.
Yeah.
Right? It's not just one relationship. I think, like I said, this is just showing to me, thank goodness I'm not a real therapist, that Erin is selfish. She only think about herself. You get what I'm saying? To the point to where when you're in therapy with another person and she's expressing herself, she's over here like, you know what? Josh has been reflective about Lorena, and it actually reminds me of a past time. Lorena, we go get back to you in a minute. Of a past time where we actually had a relationship where that person was actually dating both of us. It was like a real poly thing. I don't know what this thing is, but so, like, that's why I'm just like, the more I hear them talk, the more I don't want to hear them talk.
Yeah. Because
I feel like they are in there to try to put a square peg into a circle hole or whatever. It's just not gonna work with y'all three.
Right. So we move on to Casimar and Alexis. Alexis, so basically Casimar's niece is staying with them, and Alexis is just like, he likes the niece, like, he doesn't have a problem with it, but he just feels like Casimar puts his family over Alexis. Casimar is just like, in everything he does, Alexis comes first. And he's like, what do I need to do in order for you to see that you're the priority? Alexis goes into talking about how the kitchen and the room and basically their whole apartment was immaculately clean because the niece was coming over. And he's like, it makes him feel less than that he would put in that effort for somebody else. Orna says, honestly, that could be interpreted in 100 different ways. It's a neutral incident, but you're projecting on it whatever story that comes up in your head. And he's just like, well, no, that's what happened. And she's like, no, that's your story. That's not reality.
I like when she kept pressing that because many times than not, we kind of forget that, hey, we can write our story. You can actually put whatever angle you want to it, Alexis. It's interesting that you chose this angle, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Alexis says, like, he hears what Orna is saying about it being his story, but he has other references to support it. And Orna says, your references could also be projections. Alexis says that he brings up his family a lot when they get into arguments, talking about Casimar's family, because it gets the highest reaction out of him. And if he mentions either himself or the relationship, it just doesn't get the same reaction. So that makes him feel that he cares about it less. Orna says, you're stuck on this story and you could choose to think about it differently.
I want to be empathetic to Alexis. I can see how he can think how he's thinking.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because it's one thing if I talk about us and you seem kind of like, nonchalant or regular, but the minute I say your mama, then all of a sudden you ready to kill me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I can understand how he may feel that way, but at the end of the day, it's still your story, and you are in control of how you want to write it and how you want to view it. He don't even get clarification on it.
No, he just assumes and gets mad.
And he don't even see the benefit of like, oh, I'm in the house too. Like he sees himself as kind of like not a part of it. It's like, okay, the house is clean. Well, you live in that house.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so it's like, I don't understand from Alexis' point of view of why he has to be in opposition to Casimar, or why he sees himself in opposition. If Casimar does this, if Casimar do that, if he show love to a loved one, a niece, he always put himself or use the metric of, okay, if he loves his niece this much, where do I fit in with that?
Like what is the comparison
exactly,
about?
Yeah.
What is the comparison? Like, why can't he love his niece and love you?
Yeah.
And in different ways, but strongly nonetheless.
Yeah.
But I do feel like Alexis probably, just with his background and his situation and probably being like the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to his family or even the adults in his life not caring about his well-being, that he probably does feel like a whole lot of nothing a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And maybe he needs that constant reassurance from Casimar. And if Casimar shows any type of love or care towards another person, it automatically has his head going into priority and hierarchy mode when he's just like, I love a lot of people. This is my niece. Like, what do you want me to do? But I appreciate Orna for telling him that this is the story that you're choosing to stick to.
Yeah.
Like, you kind of have to get out of your head a little bit and come down to earth in order to actually see the situation for what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if Alexis received it in that moment, but I think it's good for him to hear, especially from somebody other than Casimar, because he could just be like, you're lying to me and all this type of stuff. But for Orna to say that to him, at least hopefully one day maybe,
I don't know,
it would give him pause to think, well, I might look at it this way, but maybe if I ask more questions, or maybe if I don't assume the worst of my partner, that maybe I won't have this feeling, you know? And the thing is, that's another thing, is like, not everything has to be asked. If he cleans the apartment, that doesn't have to be a whole long discussion about where do I fit in your life. Like, that's overkill as well.
That's kind of deep. It's like, I'm scrubbing the tub.
That's overkill as well. Yeah. So I hope Alexis starts to learn how to reframe some of his thoughts.
Yeah, and I wanted to be very intentional with giving my analysis on it and not using the word jealous. I don't think he's jealous of the niece. I think it's deeper than jealousy. You know what I'm saying?
We learned that trauma holds people to interpreting reality a certain way. If you see more, you're free from a lot of those patterns, and then the world just kind of opens up for you.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
Yes. Eliana and Mitch. Eliana says that when Mitch says he needs time, she says he can go back to his mom's house.
Okay.
I feel like we're circling back around. In the moment, he said he needed just a couple of days. Mitch says what started the conflict was that he came home from work and asked if he could get a long hug. Eliana said, what do you see when you look at me? You think I'm sad, angry, tired? Mitch was showing his vulnerability and asking for a hug. That it was something he needed. He needed a long hug, probably because of the day he had.
Probably.
Eliana wanted to know what she was displaying for him to ask her for a hug. Like, it was something about her that he saw that was an issue. Orna says, okay, what you were doing was rejecting him.
It was.
Mitch says that he didn't want to talk to her at that point because he was feeling impatient and upset with himself for putting himself out there to be vulnerable with her, for her to just smack it down.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Or not really ask a question, but give a statement.
Yeah.
I think, in my opinion, Mitch was trying to do the practice of what they've been learning in therapy. I don't even know if he necessarily needed a hug more than what that hug represent.
vulnerability.
Yes.
And so that was him making an effort to be vulnerable, and she totally missed it.
Yes. Like, we just left the therapist's office 2 days ago, right? Yes. I think he came in and he really tried, and truth be told, it may have came off weird, because if he never was the type to show that type of emotion and things like that, he only cried when his friend died, R.I.P., it does seem kind of weird to be on the other end of it, hearing someone who never asked for a hug or don't show them side of themselves. Okay, why do you think I need a hug? Especially if you know yourself to be emotional, right? But the thing that trips me out is, do y'all know y'all in therapy? Like
y'all are trying and implementing new things. Like, things aren't going to flow naturally or make sense in the moment.
It's gonna be herky. It's gonna be jerky. It's gonna be nasty. It's gonna be unnatural.
Right.
So I'm like, if you just left the therapy office like less than a week ago, and then you see your man come and asking for a hug, I would think like, oh, he's trying to like do some homework, or you know what I mean? Like, why would I say no to a hug? You know what I'm saying? It just seems like an unnecessary conflict. You know what I mean?
Well, Orna says you need to identify what the rejection provokes in you, so she knows what it does to you.
Yeah.
Because he's just in turn just shutting down and just saying, I'm just not going to do it anymore. She's like, well, we need to know how it makes you feel. The simplest thing to say is you were hurt rather than withdraw. You can just say that hurt my feelings.
Like, ouch.
Mitch says that, he would say that, but he doesn't think she's prepared to take ownership of inflicting pain. Elíana tells him that her intentions are never to hurt him. She was caught into her self-preservation mindset. She was trying to save him because she was trying to protect him from her reaction. Basically, when I told you to go to your mama's house, I didn't want to start acting even more of a fool than I was acting and hurt you even more.
I kind of understand that from her perspective, though.
But my thing is, like, Elíana, if you know you're on 1,000, go for a walk.
No. I think it's easy to say that. It's easy to tell the person who has a history of keep coming in and out, to tell them to go.
Okay.
Right? Just to give her a little bill to get her out of jail. Okay. You know what I mean? I think for her, she sees it as, I really didn't even give you what I really want to give you.
Like, she was like, I wasn't even that bad.
Like, truth be told, I didn't even unleash the dragon for real on you. You just talked about my dead friend. Like, what do you mean? That's not the dragon? Trust me, that's not the dragon. So in some way, I'm kind of saving you from the real me of how I feel about you. Even though I get it, that doesn't make it right. Even though I understand it, it doesn't make it right. I think it's this whole thing of he is scared to be vulnerable. She is scared to come off as soft because, of course, of her history and things like that. And it's like a perfect match in a sense of kryptonite. They are each other's weakness. And somebody has to be the brave one between them two to put the olive branch out there.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? He tried. Right? So next week, Elíana, we go pass it on to you.
and if you got the olive branch out, just hold it out. Even if they smack it away, just say, hey. Yeah. I let them know this is an olive branch. Yes. Okay.
So I will give credit to Mitch. You tried.
Yeah.
Right, Elíana, because he tried. Now the ball is in your court to try. Yeah. You get what I'm saying?
And Orna tells Elíana that you can say you're having a hard time instead of telling him to go home to his mom.
Go to your mom. Crazy. I ain't gonna hold you.
She says you're both too scared to say things to each other. Like, why can't you just say you're having a hard time? She doesn't say just say, but just like, why is that difficult for you?
And when she said that, when Orna said that, it was so funny because they talk at each other all the time, but they scared to say things to each other.
Yeah,
it's like, what do y'all talk about? Well, we just talk at each other.
And she said because she doesn't want to. Elíana said because she doesn't want to be soft, and then he roasts her. And she says she's really not vulnerable with anybody. And Mitch, even when she says that, he's just like, when I ever roasted you about being soft?
Exactly.
Orna says, what you call being weak is being courageous. You need to voice how you're feeling, not posturing, basically, with all the cussing and all this type of stuff. Do you want to hurt the other person when you're hurt, or do you want to choose another way? And I'm glad that she left them with that thought, because sometimes, or basically with anything you're doing, if you're trying to make a change, it's going to take effort and it's going to take brain power to choose differently.
That's true.
And I think that putting it into the phrase of basically allowing it to be a choice is that you have the option not to do what you've been doing versus falling into what feels most natural. So
many times did not.
That's it.
Is that the end? I'm just gonna end it with this. Many times did not. We think we're powerless, but truth be told, you always had the power to make your decisions, right? And you think that, oh, I don't have the power because this just comes easy. Me yelling just comes easy. Even in what comes easy, you're in full control.
Yeah.
You know? Anything else?
That's it.
We will come back with the finale. Y'all be good.
Bye.